Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. This is a video to go over the June 2019 Algebra 1 Regents. Please make sure you post all these pages on Google Classroom so you get credit for this assignment. And hopefully this video helps you if you got stuck with anything, help it make a little more sense. Now remember, just because I do it one way doesn't mean that's the only way that it can be done. I try to show as many ways as I can on the worksheets, but other ways, can actually work. And another thing to keep in mind, if you were born a year earlier, this would have been the Regents that you actually would have sat for. So you would have sat for last year's Regents if you were born a year earlier. So I'm curious to see what you thought of this Regent. So, all right, here we go. Hopefully as, you do more Regents, you get more comfortable with it, you get more answers right. So number one, the expression w to the fourth minus 36 is equivalent to choice 4. Okay, this is perfect square, drops factoring. Basically, you're making conjugates. Let's write that down. Conjugates, 1 plus 1 minus, taking the square root of each side. Number two, if f of x equals 4x plus 5, what is the value of f of negative 3? And that is choice 2, negative 7. So basically, you can do this two ways. One, you could just plug the number in for x, which is probably what a lot of you did, and you get negative 7. Or you put this equation into y equals. Okay, so go to y equals, and we put in 4x plus 5, and then you go to the table, and you go to where x is negative 3, and you'll see the corresponding y value is negative 7, so that's your answer. Okay, number 3, which relation is not a function? So not a function is choice 4. Remember this thing you had to memorize for me. Each element of the domain corresponds with one and only one element of the range. Basically, that means x values don't repeat. So that's what you're looking for. Here, none of the x values repeat, so this is a function. Here, when you have a graph, you want to actually do the vertical line test. So you're literally just making a vertical line. It only has to go through once. Okay, I'll write each vertical line goes through the graph one time, and that's how you know it passes. Okay, this one, number 3, when you put it into slope-intercept form and you graph it, it is just a slanted line like this, diagonal line, so it does pass that vertical line test. It only goes through one time. And the last one they gave is a mapping, so I made this into coordinates 1 comma a, 2 comma a, and then 2 comma b, and 3 comma c. So that's why it's no good. The 2 goes to the a and the 2 goes to the b, and that is not okay. All right, number 4. When compared to the graph of f of x, the graph of g of x is, okay, so f of x, you notice, is x minus 2, and then a plus 4 on the outside. Remember, anything on the inside, that's going to be left and right. Anything on the outside is up and down. So if you have a plus on the inside, it's to the left. These are to the right, okay, and these are both up. So from here to here, the difference is just in this little section right here. So it goes from negative 2 to negative 5. So how do I go from negative 2 to negative 5? Algebraically, I would subtract 3. Okay, and anything, again, on the inside that's minus means shifted to the right. Okay, if you forget your rules, then what you do is put both of these into the calculator. So x minus 2 squared, and then plus 4. And then your second one is x minus 5 squared plus 4, and graph them. What's good about multiple choice is a lot of this can be done right on the calculator, especially since you don't have to show any work. All right, so this is my original. This is my second. So this is f of x. This is g of x. It's 1, 2, 3 times to the right, and that's how you get number 2, choice 2. All right, number 5. Students were asked to write it in standard form. Remember standard form? Combine all your like terms. Write it in DPO, descending power order. That means exponents go from largest to smallest. So from largest to smallest. So who is correct? Anne is the only one that's correct. These are all not in descending power order. So number 5 is 1. All right, number 6, the function f is shown on the table. What type of function best models the given data? Okay, so if you do see these all go up by 1, so you can do the trick. Okay, so 1 to 3 is 2. 3 to 9 is 6, 9 to 27 is 18. So we automatically know it's not going to be this linear, okay? If I kept going, 2 to 6 is plus 4, 16 to 18 is plus 12, so you know it's not quadratic. I mean, that's not really a choice. And then one more, it would not be cubic. So basically, you can look at the numbers, 1, 3, 9, 27, and you can see that they're tripling, and tripling, it means getting bigger, so the decay is out. So again, these are out because they're linear. Decay is out. So they didn't get smaller, they got bigger, so it has to be this. So this would essentially be y equals 3 to the x, okay? Remember, if it's constant on the first try, it's linear, second is quadratic, third is cubic, and neither is going to usually be absolute value or exponential. So the other way you can do it with the calculator is if you put all the numbers into stat, put the numbers into L1, L2. Okay, to do that, remember you press stat, and then you press 1, which is edit, and then after we put all those numbers in, we're going to go to stat calc to see what it looks like, okay? And actually, you have to remember to turn stat plot on. Remember to turn your stat plot on, and that's important, okay? And I'll show you how you do that. Okay, so stat 1, clear these out. This is going to be 0, 1, 2, and 3. And this is going to be 1, 3, 9, and 27. Okay, and then again, to turn on the stat plot, you're going to go to second y equals number 1 and on. Okay, so second y equals, press number 1 and then press on and then press enter. Okay, there is a shortcut. If you go to just plain old y equals on that top, see how it's highlighted? That's on. If it's not highlighted, it's off. So that's the shortcut way. All right, and then it said to press stat calc. That's not right. It should be stat. It should be zoom. Sorry, zoom stats. And then you can see, actually, let me take away those parabolas because they're kind of in the way. So press y equals, let's get rid of those. Get rid of those. And now we could press zoom. Again, it was number 9 because this is like the stats unit, so think of that. So zoom 9, and you see that it is the curve. So you can see it's going to be exponential. Okay, so we're going to press, it was zoom. And then it was 9, and number 9 said zoom stats. Zoom and stat. And to see what it looks like. So again, another question that could have been done right on the calculator. All right, so that's number 6, excuse me. Number 7, which expression results in a rational number? Remember, rational can be written as the ratio of 2 integers where the denominator is not 0. So basically, I just put these all in the calculator. I did radical 2 times radical 18. I got 6. 5 times radical 5 got me this non-terminating decimal, non-repeating. When I added those together, I got this non-terminating, non-repeating. And this one, you can't technically add it, but the calculator does it for you anyway. Again, non-terminating, non-repeating. So this is the only one that came out to be a nice whole number, so it is choice 1, again, all in the calculator. All right, number 8, this tends to be a popular question now. They love asking these questions. And we've done questions like this on a Do Now together during the school year. So basically, you look for the roots. These are your roots right here. You have x equals -2. You have x equals 1 and x equals 2, and I made that list right there. Remember, this is our working backwards questions. So if -2 is the root, +2 is inside the parentheses. If +2 is the roots, that should be +1. +1 is the roots, then -1 is what's inside the binomial, and if +2, -2. So these are your answers right here. Usually this is what they have, but they made it a little bit tricky. Remember, June is always going to be your toughest Regents. June, hands down, is going to be the toughest one. So what they did is they took these two binomials and they multiplied them, and they got x squared minus 4, and that's how they came up with that. Okay, so that was really tricky. The other thing you can do is basically, and I'll just show you the answer that works. You can go through all these and put them all in the calculator. I'm going to turn off that stat plot, really super quick way. If you do x minus 1, and then again, I'm just going to show you the answer, x squared minus 4, you can either graph it. Okay, now look, see how it doesn't look anything like this? Remember how to get back to normal. Back to normal is zoom and then 6 standard. Okay, zoom standard. So you notice these have the same roots. So here's your -2, here's your +1, and here's your +2, okay? Or you can go to the table and you have your -2, your 1, and your 2, okay? Check which put in the graph. I'll put the table over here. So x, y, you would have had -2 is 0. You would have had 1 is 0 and 2 is 0. Okay. look at table. Okay. All right. Number 9. When solving p squared plus 5p equals ab. Okay, she wrote this. All right. So basically, you just want to see from here to here what the difference is. If you notice, there's no more minus 7 on that side, so that means that's what moved. So add 7 to both sides. Addition property. That is choice 4. All right, next page, next page. We are on number 10 already. David wanted to go to the amusement park. A sign posted at the entrance read, you must be greater, so that's greater than 42 inches, and no more than 56. So you could be 57, but you can't be greater. So that's less than or equal to 57. So which inequality would model the height x required for the amusement park? So basically they're saying in between 42 and 57, but you have to be bigger than 42. So this is how you write your compound inequality between 42 and 57. You cannot be 40, you have to be greater than 42, that's why it's not filled in. And this one, you can equal 57, but you have to be less, you can't be more, and that's what it looks like. So that is choice 1. All right, 11, which situation you want is linear? Linear is going to be your constant rate of change. So the same thing keeps happening every day, every minute, every hour, every week, whatever, has to be the same. Okay, so let's go through these. So population bacteria, triples. So triples is exponential growth. So that is no good. Anything with the percent, that's exponential. That is no good. I'm going to skip down to number 4. Half is 50%. Again, anything with the percent, no good. Here we go. An amusement park allows 50 people to enter every minute. There you go. That is correct. So it's constantly every 30 minutes, you're adding the same amount, 50 people. Okay, so anything, what I write, addition is linear, multiplying is geometric was exponential. Yes. All right, number 12, two-way table. First, notice the total is missing. Okay, got to put those totals in. So add 23, 42 to get 65, 31 and 26 to 57, and then this way it gets 54, 68, and your total for the table is 122. All right, so what does it want to know? Of the people who prefer burgers. So here's your of, that means your denominators. Okay, the people that liked burgers, there were 68 of them. Okay, so that's your denominator. Approximately what percentage? Oh, percentage. They love percents now. We're female. Okay, so out of this section right here, this conditional relative frequency, how many were female? 26. So 26 out of 68. Put it in the calculator. You get 38.2%. Or you can go ahead and do a proportion. All right, 13. This is just a literal equation. We want to solve for a. So subtract 2a, subtract 7b, and you get a is greater than negative 15b. Okay, literal equation. That's actually not really a bad one. All right, 14. 3 functions are shown below. So you have a linear, you have a quadratic, and you have another quadratic. So which statement is true? B and C have the same zeros. A and B have the same y-intercepts. This is the answer, choice 3. B has a minimum and C has a maximum, and C has a maximum. Okay, so for this one, your y-intercept is 4. Okay, for this, well, let's just go through this. So B and C have the same zeros. So your zeros for B and C. The zeros would be the, remember, zeros are the same thing, all right, aka your roots. So you have a plus 2 in parentheses, this is going to be your root, negative 2. You have a plus 6 in parentheses, this is going to be your zeros, negative 6, okay? So that is what B has. And here, the zeros are negative 4 and negative 2. So that's not true. One of them is the same, but both of them is not. So that's out. A and B have the same y-intercept. So this is a y-intercept of 4. If you graph this part B, you would see that the y-intercept is 12. Okay, so A is 4, and then B is 12, so that's no good. For here, B was, what was B? B was negative 2 and negative 6, and C was negative 4 and negative 2, so that's no good. B and C, B has a minimum, C has a maximum. Okay, so B, it's a positive x squared, so happy face, so you're going to have a minimum, and C is a sad face, so you're going to have a maximum, so that is correct. C has a maximum, A has a minimum. No. Linear equations don't even have minimum, so that's it. Okay. 15. Nikki's sister is 7 years less than twice Nikki's age. Okay, so Nikki's A. 7 years less than, remember, less than, you have to switch twice Nikki. So 2a minus 7. The sum, that means to add them. So a plus 2a minus 7, that is your answer. I don't know why they put the parentheses. I guess they're just showing it's a binomial. So 15 is 2. All right, hopefully you're doing okay through the first 15. Remember, as we get closer and closer to 24, it's going to start getting more difficult. 16, the population of a small town over 4 years is recorded in the chart below, where 2013 is represented by x is 0. So 2013 is the start. This is where you start. So x is 0, then 1, 2, and 3. Round to the nearest person, the population These can be modeled by the function, nearest thousands, which statements about the function is true. Okay, so right here it's telling you that it's going to be an exponential equation. Okay, so you can do this two ways. You can kind of just look at it and get the answer, or you can put it in the calculator. So you know this is the starting value, so your starting value is always going to be this A, so that's correct. So if A is 38, 10, it can't be 42. Now B, so I'm going to write A is starting, and B is always going to be your growth or decay. That's what it's going to show, okay? And the starting is the y-intercept too, by the way. So as you notice, these numbers are getting bigger, so it has to be the growth one. It can't be less than 1. It has to be bigger than 1, okay? So the other way you could do this, if you just want to put it in the calculator, so okay, we have, no, sorry, careful, don't put in 2013, put in 0. So 0, 1, 2, and 3, and then we have 38, 10, 39, 43, 40, 81, and 42, 24. And then we're going to go to stat calc 0. Stat calc 0 because it's exponential reg. And all this does is comes up with those same exact numbers that we had over here. So the 3810 is the A, right? Look, it literally says A. And then the B, 1.03. So this, again, might be a little bit easier on the calculator for you. Gotta love the graphing calculator. Okay, written in factored form. So you have your tricky try. So 4W, 4 times -3 is -12. So it multiplies to, let me write this over here. It multiplies to -12 and adds to -11. Don't forget about your sign trick. Bring down the first sign, multiply the 2 to get the second. So again, that was 12 and 1. You must simplify tricky try and you get that, okay? Or you can try that new factoring by grouping way that I taught you also. All right, and can graph original and each choice into y equals and hit graph to check. Oh, so you can do that too. You could put the, I'll just show this. You could put the original 4x squared minus 11x minus 3. I think it's a minus, whoops, minus 3. And then the answer 4x plus 1, and then x minus 3. And when you graph them, you'll see that they're going to be the same exact thing. So there's your first one, and it's graphing nothing else, which means it's the same exact thing. And I guess you could check it on the table. See how the numbers are exactly the same? So that's another way to do it without even doing any work. 18, which order pair does not represent a point on the graph? Okay, this one I thought was kind of tricky. A lot of my kids got this right, which is good last year, but I thought this was really tricky. So you're going to go into y equals, and this is normally where you would look to see if there's coordinates, the easiest way possible. So 3x squared minus x plus 7. And then I go to the table. But if you notice, all of these are like 0.5, 0.5, 0.25, 0.5. So you want to change it to be able to see decimals, because right now I don't see any decimals at all. So remember, second window, and then change the table. I'm going to write to 0.50 and 0.25. I'm going to write that both. To 0.50 and 0.25, because you really need to do both of them. 0.50, then change the table to 0.25. Okay, so at first, because I already know the answer, I know it's 3. So at first you would change it to, so second window, change this to 0.5. Go back to the table, okay? That's going to show you the negative 1.5 is 15.25. So that's correct. That's on there. 0.5, okay, 0.5725. That's on there. That's good. I don't see a 1.25, so skip that for now. And I go to 2.5, 23.24. So that is correct. So obviously number 3 is the wrong answer. But how are you able to see that's 0.25? So now you're going to go back to second window, and we're going to now do 0.25. And we're going to be able to see, if we go to the table, now we can see 1.25, and they're saying it should be 10.25, but it's 10.43, so that is wrong. So that is choice 3. All right, number 19, given the following sequences, which one is arithmetic? Remember, arithmetic is linear. That means add. Arithmetic add. So these numbers keep increasing by 2. We're adding 2, so that's good. This one, you're multiplying by 2. That's no good. Number 3, this is adding. Look, each one is being increased by 2. That is definitely adding. So that is number 2, 1, and 3 only. All right, 20, a grocery store sells packages of beef. The function C of W represents the cost in dollars of a package of beef weighing W pounds. The most appropriate domain of X. Okay, X in this case is the W, right? And what was the W representing? W was pounds. So I don't know if you go food shopping or not, but if you do go food shopping, you can order pounds of meat in whole pounds. Like, can I have 1 pound, 2 pound, 3 pounds? But you can also do partial. Can I have 3.5 pounds? Can I have 6.25 pounds? So things like that. So you can't have any negatives, but you can have whole numbers and you can have decimals and stuff like that. So let's see what we have. Integers, that includes negatives, so that's no good. Rational numbers, again, those include negatives, so that's no good. Positive integers, that would be good, but see, most appropriate. So these are appropriate, these two, but most appropriate is number 4, because number 3 does not include any of those decimals or fractions or anything like that. And we want those, so we're going to have to go with 4. That is the most appropriate. This one messed a lot of people up. They put positive integers. All right, number 21, the roots. All right, so this one doesn't factor, so factoring is out. So I put quadratic formula, and I also put completing the square to show you the answer is number 2. Let's see, quadratic formula, just be careful. Minus and negative is really plus. Be careful, negative times a negative is positive over here, so be careful. You come up with 41, which is the answer, or again, complete the square. Move, so this one has to be equal 0. So must be equal to 0, and completing the square must be equal to C. That's important, okay? Must be equal, I'll just write, must equal C. Must equal C. All right, and again, this one over here must be equal, and you did one of those on your do now recently. So here, you move over the constant, add -5 over 2 squared to both sides, go through the process, don't forget your plus or minus, and you'll come up with the same answer of 40, radical 41. So that is choice 2. 22, the following table shows the heights in inches of the players on the opening night roster of the 2015-2016 New York Knicks. Population, standard deviation. Okay, so this isn't too bad. You're just going to go stat calc 1. So stat, actually no calc, just put stat and 1. Okay, so stat 1, and that's going to help you. There we go. So stat 1 is going to get you to here where you need to be to plug all those numbers in. So 84, 80, 87, 75, 77. Just be careful when you plug in those numbers. 79, 80, 74, 76, 80, 80, 82. Am I done? Oh, and another 82. Okay. And then you're going to go to, oh, I see what I did. So this is how you put the numbers in stat 1, and then go to stat. Okay, we're going to stat, move over to calc. Okay, move over to calc, and then we're going to go to number 1, which is one of our stats. Okay, number 1. So again, we put the numbers in. Then I went to stat, moved over to calc. I want to go at number 1, calculate, and we're going to get it right here. It tells us population, which is so nice of it. Population is right there. That's the symbol, and it's 3.49 or 3.5. So that is the answer. All right, getting close to 24. Let me get into the tough ones. A population of bacteria can be modeled by the function f of t equals this, where t represents the time since the population. Okay, rate of decay. So they've been asking this a lot more on not multiple choice, so it's definitely important that you know how to do this work. So we're working with this formula, A equals P1, and I'm using R because we're decaying, minus R to the T. And then they give us this, f of t equals 1,000.98 to t. So really, essentially, how to figure out R is that these two things are equal to each other. 1 minus R is equal to 0.98, okay? So they want to know the rate of decay. They want to know how much less than the whole number 1 is 0.98. And really, you can kind of just look at it. You know it's 0.02, right? And 0.02 would be 2%. But this is the proper way to show the work. You do 1 minus R, because that's what's inside the parentheses, and minus because it's decay, and you equal it to the 0.98. Then you solve for R. So minus 1 on both sides gets me negative R equals negative 0.02. Divide by negative 1, because you can't have a negative rate, right? That makes no sense. And you get 0.02. Be careful, it's not 0.02%. This is not a percent yet. Okay, so must turn into percent. Must turn into a percent. And that is choice 2. So that's going to come up a lot. All right, 24. Bamboo can grow 91 centimeters per day. What's the approximate growth of the plant inches per hour? So you know they've been asking a lot of these conversions. So we want to go from centimeters per day to inches per hour. Okay, so I'm starting with the 91 centimeters. So I have 91 centimeters in one day, and I want to get rid of the centimeters. Okay, and now you have your, and actually I took last year's actual Regents. This is what the booklet would have looked like. This is what you actually would have taken. Okay, and on the back here is where they have your reference sheet. So I use this. 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. Okay, because I want to go from centimeters to inches, and I'm lucky enough it has a conversion. So to get rid of the centimeters and go to inches, that's the one I want to use. So again, put the centimeters down here diagonally because those cross out diagonally. So 1 inch over 2.54 centimeters. So centimeters are gone. I have my inch. I'm halfway there. Now I got to get rid of the day. So this is not on there. They expect you to know everything with time. So 1 day is 24 hours. I can put the day diagonally up here on the right because those cross out. And that gives me my inches per day. Multiply this way across, you get 91. Multiply this way, you get 60.96, and that gives you 1.492. Oh, I think it says 78215 something. 91 divided by 60.96. 49278.215, and that is a 2, and that's 1.49. So be careful. A lot of kids, they forgot to do the whole hours per day thing, or forgot one of the two conversions. So just be really careful with that. All right, so those were all your part ones. So hopefully you did better than you did on the last one. Each time, hopefully you should get a little bit better. Remember, June is always the toughest, okay? And if you were born a year earlier, this is what you could have been taking. All right, part 2 is to show your work. 25, solve algebraically for x. So basically you want to distribute, combine your like terms, solve, and you get x equals 8. And then I showed the check, which you do not have to do, but make sure you show all that work. All right, 26. If c equals g minus 3f, find the trinomial. My trinomial is 3 terms, okay? 1 term is monomial, 2 terms is binomial, but they want 3 terms, which is weird that they even said that, but okay. That represents c when f is this and g is this. Okay, so c is g minus 3f, okay? So g is the binomial 3x squared plus 4. That goes in parentheses. Then you have minus, and this is what messed a lot of people up, 3 times f. So it's 3 times this trinomial, 2x squared plus 6x minus 5. So you want to distribute, combine your like terms, you get c equals negative 3x squared minus 18x plus 19. Make sure this is in standard form, okay? Must be in standard form. That was descending power order and combine all like terms. Combine all like terms. All right, moving right along. 27. Okay, you have your piecewise. So graph the following piecewise on the set of axes below. So you should know that these lines right here is absolute value. You should already know in your mind absolute value is making a V. So we're going from -5 to 2. Okay, just put this right in the calculator. You're going to go to y equals, okay, and then maybe I should write how to get this. So math, and then move over to NUM, and it is number 1. So I went to math. I'm going to go over NUM. I'm going to press number 1, and I'm putting this in the calculator, X, and I'm going to go to the graph, or second graph. Let's change back that window. So second window. When I change, I make both of them 1s. All right, and then we just copy from -5 to +2, and that's how I got those numbers, okay? This one is less than or equal to, so it's closed. This one is less than, so it has to be an open, okay? Don't forget to put the equation and the constraint on the absolute value. Don't forget to also label this. All right, second one is linear, so you can either do M and B. I did M and B, or you can do the table, completely up to you. Both of them are closed, so make sure they are both closed, and make sure you have the equation. And yeah, that was really for that one. That wasn't horrible. Okay, if you want to graph it, just make sure that you're doing this separate from this and this separate from this. And let's see. So let's put this in parentheses. We'll show you how to graph it. Okay, so parentheses -5. Remember, second math. Okay, second, and then math is going to get you the less than or equal to symbol. So second math, X, second parentheses, X, second math, less than 2. All right, then this one down here, put the function -2x plus 10 in parentheses, and now we're going to have Okay, 2 is second math, less than or equal to x. And then our next parentheses is x, second math, less than or equal to 6. And let's graph it and see if it looks anything like what we have. So there's our absolute value. There is our linear, and there we go. So that is our check. All right, for number 28, solve it algebraically. So I showed it 4 different ways. Actually, technically, completing the square does not work because there's no linear, so I technically showed it 3 ways. This is definitely the easiest. It's an incomplete quadratic. Incomplete quadratic. So you are allowed to do it algebraically. So simply just divide, take the square root, and do plus or minus. So that is it. And just a couple of lines of work, done. If you wanted to factor it, make sure you get equal to 0. Take out your GCF, and then do your DOPS factoring. You'll get plus 6 and minus 6. Here, quadratic formula, again, has to be equal to 0. Plug them in, do all your work, and you should get on the bottom 6 and negative 6. So it's really up to you, but it's all here. Check is here. But it's plus or minus 6. Again, algebra was the easiest way, if you remember the plus or minus. All right, 29. Ugh, this question. I was not a fan of this question. This was tough. It even tricked me. So hopefully just try your best with it. So a blizzard occurred on the East Coast during January 2016. Snowfall totals from the storm were recorded for Washington. Okay. Which interval, 1 a.m. to 12 noon, so I have 1 a.m. to 12 noon, or 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., has the greatest rate? So anything that says rate, that's rate of change, which is the same thing as slope, which is your change in y over your change in x. In inches per hour. Okay, it tells you inches per hour. So one was easy, and one was super tricky. So 1 a.m. to noon. 1 a.m. to noon. Okay, so your inches went from 33 to 31. Or excuse me, sorry. It went from 1 to 33. Sorry about that. So 33 minus 1. And your time was 1 a.m. to 12 noon. So 12 minus 1. So 11 hours, right? So from 1 to 33, that's 32 inches. 32 inches. And 1 to 12 noon was hours. So this is 2, obviously to put in the calculator and divide it, and you get inches per hour. Okay, this is where it was super tricky. So 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., everybody was okay with the top. It's 11 to 36. So 36 minus 11, and that's 25. But the bottom is what messed me up too. Okay, so it went from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. So you're not going to do 3 minus 6 and get negative 3. Like that doesn't even make sense, right? So what's tricky is you have to go from 6 a.m. to noon, right? So that's 6 hours, and then noon to 3 p.m., right? So this is, I don't know how to show this. I'll show it here. So 6 a.m. to 12 noon, and then 12 noon to 3 p.m. So from here to here is 6, and then from here to here is another 3. So in total, that's 9 hours. So that was really, really tricky. A lot of people mess up the bottom, okay? Some people did it military time, and that helped them. 15 minus 6 is 9, but it's 25 over 9. 25 inches, this is your hours, and that's 2.7 inches per hour. So this is what made this question so tricky, was that second piece. Okay, and I wanted to know which one was greatest. So obviously 2.9 is bigger than 2.7 repeating. So 1 a.m. to 12 noon has the greater rate of change. So that was really tricky. Be careful again. From 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. is 9 hours. 9 hours. So be careful. Okay, that was a really tough one. Really tricky. The formula for the volume of the cone is as follows. All right, so you guys have done this plenty of times. I've always given you a ton of formula. So get rid of that 1/3 first by multiplying by 3 on both sides, the reciprocal. Then at this point, you get the h by itself divided by pi r squared, and that's it. So that was not bad at all. 31. Hopefully you guys are doing okay with these part 2s. All right, given the recursive, and you know it's recursive because it's n minus 1 right here. Okay, that just means you're going to use the previous term before it to get that actual answer. All right, so they gave us A1. We want 2, 3, and 4. You guys have done this a ton for me. So just copy down what they give you. And then for A sub 2, okay, n is 2, so plug a 2 here. 2 minus 1 is 1. Now you're dealing with A sub 1, which makes sense. That's why it's recursive. A sub 1 is 3. Then follow PEMDAS, so 3, or order of operations. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So now here, 3 minus 1, because for the next one, A sub 3. And it's going to be 3, so that gives me A sub 2. A sub 2 is this answer right here of 8. Again, follow PEMDAS, you get 18. And then same thing over here where n is 4 and you get 38. So hopefully this one was not as bad as it could have been. It just may be a little tricky maybe with the PEMDAS or something, or reparations, but hopefully you guys did okay on that. So 8, 18, and 38. And don't forget the 2s, the 3s, and the 4s to differentiate. All right, so number 32, determine and state the vertex of f of x equals x squared minus 2x minus 8 using the method of completing the square. So if you did not complete the square, you got this one wrong, okay? But you have done this with me. You have done it with f of x, so you know what to do, okay? Don't change it to 0. Don't get rid of it. You complete the square with the f of x there. So you're going to add 8 to both sides. Notice I switched the order. I just swapped the two sides. So x squared minus 2x equals f of x plus 8. So add negative b over 2 squared onto both sides. That gives you a positive 1. Remember the trick here. You take half of b. So half of b and half of negative 2 is negative 1. And there I combine like terms. Now you move over the 9. Again, I flip the order again. So f of x equals x minus 1 squared minus 9. But don't forget to actually state the vertex, okay? Opposite, same. Opposite, same. All right, and you can also put it in the calculator to check and see if you got it right. So if you put, so go to y equals, let's get all this out from before. So put the original, x squared. Okay. X squared minus 2x minus 8. And then put your new one in vertex form, squared minus 9. You're going to notice that when you go to the table, they are literally the same exact things. Okay, and if you were to graph it, you get the same exact thing. So you know that you did it right, and you know by checking, actually let's go back to that table. We'll give it a second. Okay, go back to that table. You'll see that vertex is 1, negative 9. And you could tell because see that symmetry right there? See how the numbers match until that middle one? That's how you know what the answer is. All right, 33. So a school, so now we're going to go to part 3. A school plans to have a fundraiser before a basketball game selling shirts with their school logo. The school contacted 2 companies to find out how much it would cost to the shirts made. Company A charges $50 for the fee. Remember, fee is always going to be your y-intercept. And whatever per shirt, per whatever, well, in this case it's per shirt, that's going to be your slope. So we have 5x plus 50. Then for and notice I use b of x. Here your fee is your y-intercept. And then that per shirt is going to be your slope. Slope, y-intercept. All right, so we got our equations for a and b. And make sure you use a of x and b of x. All right, determine algebraically. So that means no table. Anytime they say algebraically, no table. It means you actually have to show work. And state the minimum number of shirts that must be ordered for it to be cheaper to use company A. So minimum, we usually do greater than or equal to, but that's not what this question was asking. It wants cheaper for A. So you want A has to be less than B. This is the setup you want. A is less than B. Okay, so I take 5x plus 50 less than 6x plus 25, and I solve it, and I get x is greater than 25. So I need a number that's bigger than 25, okay, and that's 26. You can't be, 25.5 because you can't order partial of a shirt, okay. So also the Regents had accepted equals this year instead of greater than. Or excuse me, the less than, they also accepted equals. But that was a little bit trickier for some kids because when they use equal, they told me the answer was 25, but that's not right. So if you plug in 25 for x into 5x plus 50 and 6x plus 25, you'll see you get the same amount, which is 175, but I don't want the same. I want to know when A is cheaper than B. So if you plug that next number in 26 in for x here and here, you see 5x plus 50 comes out to 180, but 6x plus 25 comes out to 181. So this is where A is going to be cheaper when you're using the 26 shirts. So that would be your answer. You can also put this into the calculator. And I wrote the little notes here for you. So 5x plus 50. And then this one is 6x plus 25. And then if you go to the table, let me get up to 24, 25, 26. Okay. As you can see right here, as I'm going up, the A is more expensive each time. More expensive, more expensive, more expensive, more expensive, more expensive, more expensive, more expensive. Oh, look, 25, they're the same. But if you go one more, 26, that's the first time that A is cheaper. So you can actually get the answer from the table, but then you have to make sure you show the appropriate algebraic work because it says algebraically. So this one was 26 and not 25. All right, 34. Graph y equals f of x and y equals g of x. So we have a parabola and linear. So parabola, you always go to the table. And this is going to be arrows because no constraints were given. Don't forget to put the equation on the line. This one is your linear, so you can either do the table, you could do M and B, up to you. Again, make sure you have arrows. I'm gonna write here, must have arrows. Must have arrows. And then don't obviously forget the equation as well. Okay, determine, and don't forget to label 1 box equals 1 unit, or put the numbers, up to you. Determine and state all values of x. So you can't tell me y, can't tell me the coordinate, it has to be just x, for f of x equals g of x. So basically it's looking for the intersection points. So that's 0, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 3, 1, 2, 3, negative 3. Okay, but if you got it wrong, if you gave me the coordinates, you can only tell me the x value. So here x is 0, and here x is 3. Excuse me, x is 0 here, x is 3 here, and those are the 2 answers. So the only tricky thing with this one was that you couldn't give the coordinates. Otherwise, I think you guys totally did well on this one. And again, the table will tell you, if you put it in there, what your answers would be. See how they're the same? Okay, so y equals 2x squared minus 8x plus 3. And then your second one is negative 2x plus 3. Remember, when you go to the table, you always want to look for where the numbers are the same. Okay, so if you notice 0 has the y1 and the y2 being the same, and then 3, same exact thing. So you know automatically those are your answers from the beginning. All right, 35. The table below shows the number of hours 10 students spent studying for a test and their scores. All right, so we're going to put this into stat 1. Okay, so stat 1. Let's put our numbers in. So 0, 1, 2, 4, 4, 4, 6, 6, 7, and 8. And then move over to L2, 35, 40, 46, 65, 67, 70, 82, 88, 82, and 95. All right, then we're going to go to Stat Calc 4. Stat Calc 4, right? This is linear regression. They want linear regression. And let's see what we get. All right, 7.79, 34.27, nearest hundredth, so that is it. Correlation coefficient, remember, that is your R. Now, just in case it doesn't pop up, the easiest way to get it, easiest way, mode, keep going down till you get to the next screen, stat diagnostic, okay, and you want to go to on and press enter, and then you can go back, stat calc 4. Let's get back to that screen. All right, so my R is 0.98. Okay, so the last part here, explain what the correlation coefficient suggests in the context of the problem. So this type of question has been coming up a lot recently. So the correlation coefficient is 0.98, so it's pretty close to +1. So the correlation coefficient suggests a strong positive, right? Because that number, linear relationship, linear because it says linear up there, because the correlation coefficient is close to +1. So because it's close to +1, it's going to be strong positive. Now, context means you have to use these words. So you have to use these words, hours spent studying and test scores. Don't make up your own, just use what they give you. Okay, because we have a positive slope. Positive means both are increasing. The x and y both increase. So that's what you want to say in your sentence. So as the x increases, the y increases. And x was hours and y was score. So it shows as the hours spent studying increases, the test scores also increase. So that's what you have to have because it says the context of the problem. All right, 36, a system of inequalities is graphed on the set of axes below. Okay, state the system of inequality. So basically, I give you the graph. Now you give me the inequalities instead of doing it backwards. So here, if you notice, 1, 2, 3, the y-intercept was 3. And we get 2 good points. It goes down 1, 2, 3 to the right 1. So that's going to give me a -3 slope. This is dotted, and this is technically shading below, right? This is your y-intercept. The numbers below, the y values below are being shaded. So that's why it's going to be less than, because it's dotted and shaded below. So y is less than -3x plus 3. This one over here, my y-intercept is -2. Okay, and this goes up to right 1, so my slope is 2. This is solid and also shaded below, so that's why it's less than or equal to. Okay, so you have y is less than -3x plus 3, and y is less than or equal to 2x minus 2. State what region A. So remember, they usually use S, but they're using A, it's fine. Region A represents the solution set for the system of inequalities. So be careful. You could just say for the system and stop there, and you would have gotten full credit. But if you're going to write something, you make sure you write inequalities and not equations. That's really important. All right, now what does this gray section mean? That the gray region represents the solution set for y is less than or equal to 2x minus 2 only. Okay, so this was an interesting question. I thought it was kind of weird, but not bad. All right, last one. Hopefully you guys are doing okay on this June Regents. Again, June's normally the most difficult one. When visiting friends in a state that has no sales tax, 2 families went to a fast food restaurant for lunch. The Browns bought 4 cheeseburgers and 3 medium fries for $16.53. The Greens bought 5 cheeseburgers and 4 medium fries for $21.11. Now, if you notice, it's going to be systems. That's what I've been saying. Usually the last question, number 37, is going to be systems. Like 95% of the time, it's either systems algebraically or systems graphically. Like only 5% of the time is it anything else. So, okay, using C for the cost of a cheeseburger and F for the cost of a medium. So you have to use those letters. So must use C and F. Okay, that has to be C and F. So Browns, 4 cheeseburgers, 4C, 3 medium fries, 3F, $16.53. Greens, 5 cheeseburgers, 5C, 4 medium fries, 4F, $21.11. Done. The Greens says since their bill was $21.11, each cheeseburger cost $2.49, each order of medium fries cost $2.87. Are they correct? Justify. Justify basically means you have to show your work, okay? So talking about the Greens, so use the Greens equation. Plug in what they think it is. Cheeseburger, $2.49, French fry, $2.87, and just solve it. And no, they're not correct because the cost is actually $23.93 and not $21.11. So that's why they are not correct. Okay, that should be 93. 93. All right, and last part of the Regents, almost done. Using your equations, algebraically determine both the cost of 1 cheeseburger and the cost of 1 medium fry. All right, so we want to use the addition method. So the addition method, high school also calls it elimination. So elimination / addition method. So you bring this coefficient up, you bring this coefficient down, but put the negative. You get these two equations. When you combine like terms, you get negative 1F equals negative 1.79. Obviously, when you're doing this, cost should never be negative, so you should not be getting a negative answer. But we do get 1.79. That's for our medium French fries. So plug in the French fries back into the original, never the new one, and you get that your cheeseburger is 2.79. So the cost of 1 cheeseburger is $2.79. The cost of 1 medium French fry is $1.79. And then basically I just checked it over here just to show you because it's a Regents and you should be checking. So, all right, that was a lot. Hopefully you guys did okay on this. Again, the more you do, I think the easier it'll get for you. Please make sure you post all these pages for me on Google Classroom. And if you have any questions at all, please reach out to me. And yeah, that's it. Have a great day. Bye.